Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP. Welcome to the AJTRIP movie review of Spider-Man: Brand New Day. By the way, if you're hearing some wind or something like that, some wind sounds, that is the fan, as I am having a fan on and I'm sitting under a fan because it's hot as hell. Fuck summer. Anyway, the reason why we're here, Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Now, as this is a spoiler review, so if you don't want to know anything about this, you can stop and pause this and come back later to it. But I'm gonna give you everything that I saw, thought, and everything like that, and give you the entire review of it. So it starts off with like Spider-Man, it, it kind of goes back to almost when at the end of the Far Away from Home, I guess was the one um, where he had the spell by Doctor Strange put on everybody so everybody could forget that Peter Parker was Spider Man. Um, so he got a note that at the end of that he went in the diner and there was a note that he was going to give. He was going to give her, and then he decided not to, and anything like that. So he was back there. He's still looking at the note. So we can't. And he's watching Ned and MJ like on a TikTok or Instagram reel or something like that, and they're going through all of the things, and it seems like he goes to each and every one of those years of college that they went through until now they're now graduating, and he is doing the voiceover about him being Spider-Man, and sometimes Spider-Man, the stuff Spider-Man hasn't um isn't what was isn't the way it is. Well, the way it needs to be. Excuse me. So yeah, so that's it. So he gets alerts and he's talking to the new, I guess, chief of police, which is it's a woman. And I was trying to think. Now that I think about it, I don't know if it's the woman from the Daredevil movie or not. There's a woman, kind of a black Latina woman in the Daredevil series, that's like the mayor's chief of staff. Um, and I can't forget. Right? So I don't know if this woman is that woman, but it's a woman, Latina woman, get Latina kids. Don't worry, you idiots. It's nothing about being woke. It's Jesus fucking Christ. It's a damn movie. Um, so he's on the phone with her talking to her, and then all of a sudden, there's like a tank that gets away, and he has to try to stop the tank. And who else is trying to stop the tank? But Frank, not Frank the Tank, but Frank Punisher, Frank Castle, and then there's a little just shot with him, and they get to the thing with the tank where the tank is going at damage control facility. Um, and he's got um, he tries to stop it. He can't. It crashes into the damage control facility, and he opens it up. He sees in it. It's an elderly woman driving. He can't believe it. And then she the something jumps from the woman into a guard, and he to keep the guard from moving, he does his spider stuff, and the spider webs him to the ground, and then the woman gets back to normal, and this does this, and the person jumps from person to person. Spider-Man chases it, tries to jump into Spider-Man, but Spider-Man pushes him out. He can't jump into there because of like his spider abilities, and so they try to figure out who this person is and and what this is about and everything like that. Um, so so we get that, and we know what that's about. We know now. Thing is, he goes to damage control, has a meeting with damage control leader, and he talks with him about the stuff that is going on, and he talks about these group of ninjas called the Hand that Spider-Man took down. They're now working for him. So Spider-Man sees that. So they have a conversation. It doesn't go, they agree to it, but they agree to work together. And so at one point, Spider-Man is Spider-Man is like in this bodega shop, and he's having whatever. And Ned comes in, he wants to get some drinks, and get these shots, I guess these energy drink shots type thing. So Spider-Man, Peter Parker, decides to follow him to see where it's at, and he follows him to a party. They're throwing a housewarming party. They're now him and MJ's house, and he's in there, and they're doing so much other things. He gets in there, and he gets into the room where Ned has all of the spider stuff, and he's got a bunch of things on the wall about Spider-Man, and Ned comes out of the washroom, sees him, says he knows that it's 2 words. It's 2 words, and that he got to live down to 2 people, Flash Thompson and a teacher, and it's hilarious. MJ comes in, but he gives him this weird name of I forget what it was, like Normandy or something like that, whatever. Just like that. So he's in this party, and he's sitting around, and then MJ's boyfriend comes in, and he sees them kissing, and that sends him on a spiral. And the spiral starts his evolution into now becoming a bigger part of the spider. Because apparently this, I guess, is what happens to real spiders, I guess. Where spiders they evolve once they hatch, and they come out and they are a spider. Then they come out and they are another spider. So that's what that is, and it's kind of insane about that, right? So then he falls down, and then he wakes up, and he's hanging from this cocoon off of the building. And he has this, just the same. There's a very little funny part of the movie where so he's in his boxer shorts, and he sneaks back in through like the laundry place, and there's a dude doing his laundry. So he just grabs some clothes, and the clothes he got obviously it's a woman's tank top and women's shorts, and there's a woman comes in, a woman that he met earlier in the movie, who maybe seemed like she kind of liked him. I'm not sure, but now this one's she's with a black guy, and he's walking her dog, and so he says, "Isn't it my clothes? Your clothes? No, it's not clothes." So he goes to his floor and he walks off, and on the back of his things, there's a juicy thing. Hold on 1 second. Alright, my apologies. I heard some banging, and I just wanted to make sure there was nobody trying to bang it in our house or anything like that. It seemed to be coming from the outside. So I told you the funny story about the guy with the juicy pants on, right? So there's also some maybe like another type of evolution come to him. Scorpion seemingly escapes Right? He'd already captured Scorpion early in the movie. Scorpion escapes, so he goes back and he tries to go fight him and everything like that. And then he says something because of Scorpion, and he doesn't say anything about it being a Scorpion. It's not Scorpion. And he goes, well, and he realizes it's the thing that he was chasing earlier, that jumping from player to player. So, and then when she says something about, you know, MJ, I believe, he kind of he always goes into a rage, almost like the Hulk. And he just destroys him, and he does the thing where he flips him and he hits a cop car, and it injures one of the cops, and so he was trying to, and then he kind of really came out of his rage and realized what had happened, and he couldn't take it. So he decides to go see Dr. Banner, Bruce, the Hulk, because Bruce has now have on an inhibitor to where he can now keep the big raging green monster, as Tony Stark once said, he can keep him at bay. He's no longer Professor Hulk, which, by the way, I'm gonna say this, and I've been watching a lot of my guy who knows the stuff is the Emergency Awesome, Charlie from Emergency Awesome. I ever since the whole stuff started, I found him on YouTube, and and I've been watching him for at least a decade now, maybe even more than a decade, because I was watching him back when the DCEU was a big thing, the DC TV, I guess, with the Flash and the Arrow and everything like that. So I've been watching him ever since those. So it does a great job. So he had said that the fan base wanted the Hulk, the big green rage monster. They didn't want Professor Hulk. And I was like, really? You didn't want Professor Hulk? I mean, do you really want the Hulk to be so, unfathomable? So, I don't know. But anyway, he had, so he goes to see him, and he's got on that inhibitor, and he talks to him about that inhibitor, and how he can be able to find a way to hold the DNA and keep the Hulk at bay, and that's what he's wanting to try to keep this new arachnid part of him away. So he decides to go ahead and do the thing, right? And it is what it is. It's kind of interesting the way he did it. Which, by the way, I skipped over a part. I'm missing one parts on this thing. You guys have to forgive me. I am older, and I can't remember things that I just saw 3 hours ago. So, however, with that said, he went to go see Yelena, who is part of the New Avengers, at a Swedish bathhouse, or a Russian bathhouse, I guess it is, because she's Russian. So she makes a guest star along with Hulk. So after talking with Bruce, he goes back and he creates his own, and he tries to create his own thing and try to make sure so that he can keep this new spider thing at bay. And he creates one. When he goes to make a test run, it doesn't work, and it's it kind of explodes him, and it goes all the way, and he drops his web grenades, and it blows him out onto the street. So a black guy walks up to him and says, "Spider-Man, you okay?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm fine. Just just testing out some web stuff, and he just starts to mention about some of the stuff. He mentions, I think um, he mentions what's her face. He mentions MJ. So he turns around and he knows that it's the being that has been jumping from person to person. Everything like that. And then, so after a little bit of talk, he says, maybe I should go take MJ a visit. And he's jumping from place to place. This cloaked figure and everything like that. So then he goes, he tries to make it to MJ to try to save MJ to take away. And this was I think a great part of the thing, because they go and he goes into his apartment. They bring MJ. He gets MJ and then he takes her away. Right. He takes her to this place where they're on this thing with these lights and everything like that. These light up ladder. And they start talking. Why would you take me? And then she goes into, we must have known each other. And she starts talking, and then she goes and she rolls his thing up and kisses him, and then she goes, Peter's, and then yes, it's me, and then they had this emotional hug, and Peter's crying, I can't wait to tell you I love you, and then all of a sudden you realize it's the person that's been jumping the body. She was able to jump in MJ's body, and she tugged on Peter's heartstrings. And that just made Peter mad, and he got the arachnid rage happening, and he almost held up her over like he was gonna drop her on the thing, but he didn't. But she did. She kicked off of him and threw her down. He was able to catch her and grab her, just like Andrew Garfield called her, and like the way he didn't catch Gwen Stacy. So then, they roll up in a car, and someone gets out, and Spider-Man kind of says, okay, I'll stop, just don't hurt her. And he gives her, he has his man get rid of the thing, and he says anything like that, and he got these things on his eyes, and he's able to see who it is, and it's the young lady Sadie Sink. And she sees her face, and then he's able to now, and he doesn't be able to recognize her. So he now goes and he's trying to keep MJ safe, just to be sure. So he goes to Frank's house. Frank's house is booby trapped, like to the bejesus. And he goes there to keep MJ safe. He does, and they talk. And he's trying to fix the inhibitor in him. And she helps him out by saying that it overheats because his eye things are, causing him to overheat. So then they fix it so that he can put it on his head. So he does. And then it works, and he can do everything, and doesn't overheat. It doesn't do anything. And then she kind of talks about how, by you doing that, it kind of takes away from you being you, and everything like that. He also creates a universal one for her, not for MJ, but for Sadie Sink, who they find out is Jean Grey, which all of us knew, all of us thought that's what it was. There was the rumors, and that was the scuttlebutt. Sadie Sink was playing the new Jean Grey, and so then he leaves her there, although she does tell Frank, he's gonna need your help, just like you helped him out, like he helped you out in Staten Island. And so then he goes off and he goes to find her, and he find her at the Damage Control Center. And when he gets there, he's found out that she has now taken the inhibitor off the Hulk, and she's controlling the Hulk. She's controlling Professor Hulk. And he's able to do like it's almost a thing. It goes back to the original Avengers movie, if you remember, when Loki was mind controlled by mind controlled by when the people were mind controlled by Loki and the staff. The if they got hit hard in the head, it calibrated them. It made them back to normal. That's what it's like here. He was able to hit Bruce so far in the head that it knocked him, made him normal again. However, Bruce turned out to be so bad that he didn't go into Professor Hulk. He went into big, huge, green, hulky rage monster Hulk, and they had a fight, and it was amazing. And some really good things I thought were smart about it. Frank Castle shows up to help him fight the Hulk, but then he gets jumped into by Jean, and they find a way down to the place where they were at, and he's able to deal with the Hulk, and then he comes back and is able to put the thing onto Jean Grey, and she says Sarah. And when they were taking her out, they were he was talking to the head guy of Damage Control. He's like, she said mention some Sarah, and the guy tells Peter, she was in my head there for a second, and I was thinking about Sarah, somebody who I just recently lost or just passed away. That's what it might have been. So Spider-Man thinks nothing of it. Goes on by the way. It goes back to the thing to go get MJ, and the letter that he had written 4 years ago. She has. He mistakenly left it there, and she can't. And she doesn't know what else to do, and she's just insane, and not insane, but she's distraught. And he tells her everything about. Even says that he loves her, and she says the spell worked because you're not no feelings of you, no memories of you are left in my mind. I don't love you, and it breaks Spider-Man's heart. And then they do a real funny bit that she decides to go. And they realize she doesn't have a phone. She has no way to get it where she is. He needs to take her back to the place. So he does. She asks him to come upstairs to see Ned. So he goes up there and he sees Ned, and they have a bit of a talk. And they kind of stays around there, and they're talking and they're having good fun. And she's drawing, she's drawing Ned and Peter, kind of talking. So this is very interesting. And here's a good one here. Here's a good thing here. So, he says that when Jean was in your body, she kissed me, and I want to apologize for that because that was not consent, the whole consent thing. She goes, it's fine. I didn't even remember it. He says, good, you didn't? Then he goes back to remember what the Damage Control leader said. Hey, it's not, about Sarah. And he remembered, what she did, but she didn't. He realized, oh no, he lied to her. And, he goes and he uses the computer to talk to Yelena again. And Yelena does some searching and find out that Jean Grey had a sister named Sarah. And he finally puts two and two together. She was talking about her sister. She just wanted back her sister. He can't believe he made a big mistake. And he goes off to get it. And then as he leaves, he says, Peter, be careful. He goes, I will. And then Ned goes, his real name is Peter? clock on to that. That comes up later. Because then he goes off to save Sadie, or Jean Grey. Now Jean is locked up in this building, and they're doing experiments on her, and trying to find if we can figure out a way to control her powers. Because they can control her powers, they can use it maybe for real life people. I don't know. I didn't get that, but I just know they're trying to control her powers, and she's trying to use it. And she has a distance. She can't jump into another person's body from a certain amount of distance. So Spider-Man said like it was like 33 feet away or whatever. So she's trying to jump and she can't do it, and she's looking up. And all this time she was looking for something called VMAX, right? She wanted to find something for VMAX because she thought that could lead her to Sarah. And she's looking up and she's looking at and there's a vent, and you can see that it started off. You can see the V, the E and T are hanging off, and then there's Max. And so it says VMAX. And she finally puts two and two together that VMAX was the final words that Sarah said after she had died. And then again, it's the rage thing. She's all that rage in her, and she is somehow able to just stop everyone with her, with her telekinetic powers, telekinesis powers. They've always said that Jean Grey was the second strongest telepath. She actually may have been the strongest telepath, which is why the Phoenix was able to get into her and use her powers, because she was the strongest one. Charles Xavier is a strong, very strong telepath. But maybe a lot of people thought that he was always the strongest one, but Jean kind of showed her that she was the strongest of them all. So she's doing this, and then Spider-Man has a fight with some security guards, and then there goes those ninja guys, the hand. They're all stuck, and Sadie, and I'm gonna call him Sadie Sink. Jean Grey can feel Spider-Man, and she's talking to him through the ninjas. And of course, she turns the ninjas on to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man has to fight them. It's 5, 7, 8 on 1. What can he do? And so then after a beatdown, Spider-Man finally decides to take the inhibitor off and let the rage, let him use the rage. And he's able to use the rage. He goes and he takes out all of these guys. And he gets into this into the room where Jean Grey has like the glass, pointed at them, ready to stab the director, in his face and heart and everything like that. And all while this is happening, Frank is setting up a thing where he's going to try to kill Jean Grey. So Spider-Man is able to get into this place. Sadie Sink stops. You can kind of stop him, I think. And she says that you don't think I can get into my head. And she says, why don't you jump in there? So he's actually So I think it's one of those things where he can stop her from getting into his head, but he let her get into his head this time. And with this one, he lets her see a talk that he had with Thing, and then she becomes with Aunt May, and then she becomes like the person talking to Aunt May, and then Aunt May goes away, and he has a talk with her, and it's all everything, and it's kind of a thing where they understand each other, and then he hears a gunshot, and the spider sense him, and there's a gun waiting, and And so he quickly grabs her, turns her around, and he gets shot. He saves her, and then he tells her to go away. You gotta run away. They're gonna be after you. And she's like, no, I gotta do everything with you, and she needs to go away. I'll be fine. And then, Frank can't believe what he did, and so then Frank takes him and gets him to the hospital and everything like that. And it's all news is it's like the scene where everybody is in sovereign nature. The hero of New York, City, has been shot and is in critical condition, may pass away. And we get there, and then we see Spider-Man is in the hospital, and it seemed like that Jean Grey, all this time, Jean Grey has been trying to, she's either been keeping him alive until he could, come along himself, or she's been trying to keep him alive, but with her telekinesis. And I guess it works at one point, and he pops up and he sees next to her there's a snoring Frank Castle next to him, and so Frank tells him that it's been Jean that's been keeping you alive all this time, and they have a good thing. And then they have a way to get Spider-Man out of there. And so he walks out in normal clothes, and Frank then puts on the spider mask and goes up there and out the window while he can get his getaway. So that was a really good one. And then we get to another part where he's recovering. He's still talking to the chief of police or whatever, and a robbery is happening in the bank, and she goes, "You take your time. We can handle a bank robbery." And he goes, "Okay." And then he names her kids, and everything. Very, very nice, very funny thing. And he goes into this same bodega that he went to earlier, right, when he followed Ned home. But this time Ned's there. He's just standing there, and he decides to go over and speak to Ned. And he kind of introduces himself. "My name is Peter Parker." And they do the little handshake that they would do back in the past. And then it clicks for Ned. Peter. The same Peter that MJ called, Spider-Man at their apartment. And it goes up like that. That's the end of the movie. And the post-credit scene is, Ned made this spider tracker where he's able to spider track, wherever he was at. So they're focused on her in that, and then Spider-Man is it's in Queens. It's in Queens, and then it says location is unknown. Location is unknown. Then it goes away from Queens, and it goes away from New York, and it goes away from America. It goes away from Earth, and it goes out into space, all while still saying location unknown, location unknown. Then all of a sudden it stops. He pops up, location found, and it's in deep dark space. So yeah, there you have it. So who knows if it's that Spider-Man or if it's Miles Morales, or you never know who it is. So yeah, that was the post-credit scene, and that was it for the movie. All in all, I thought this was a great one. I loved it. I loved the action. I loved the characters. I loved everything about this. I would say that my only thing that maybe I would have a little bit of trouble with would have been the whole MJ thing. Because they had to try to find a way to get MJ in that letter, and I kind of think maybe that was just a little too contrived, so to speak. I loved the fact that Jean Grey inhabited MJ and kind of, you know, fooled him. I would have liked for that to be. I still would have liked for them not to maybe further know that it was still Peter Parker. But nonetheless, tremendous movie, one of the great movies. You're gonna see a lot of Marvel is back or Spider-Man is back or anything like that. Realize, understand this. Those who are watching this, Marvel never left. Just because the movies were not the classics that they were in the Infinity Saga doesn't mean that they weren't good. Don't listen to the numbskulls online talking about how woke stuff is and everything like that. Let me give you some advice. If you listen to a person and the first thing they say about a movie that it's woke, you know, they don't like it because it's woke, don't listen to it. Because they're not, because it's you know, they have, because they did not watch the movie, they don't care about the movie. They saw one little thing that, and I guarantee you're gonna see someone, you're probably gonna see someone say, I didn't like the movie because again the mayor is a Latina woman. They're pushing that woke shit down our throats. For fuck's sake, shut the fuck up. I'm telling you, do not listen to those folks. This was, but this doesn't mean that Marvel is back, because Marvel never left. It's just they know how to do Spider-Man. There are certain people who they know how to do, and they know how to do Spider-Man. And I think that's a good thing. And they know how to do Avengers movies. And the next one is Avengers Doomsday, and that one should be an absolute epic. They said that they are going to bring back Avengers Endgame, really releasing in theaters with 7 extra minutes. Now I don't know if that's the whole thing about with taking the knee for Tony. I don't know if they should put that fucking thing in there. It was awesome. I don't know if I'm gonna go see it again. I get Disney Plus. I don't need to go see it in theaters and pay for it. But you know what else? I'm definitely going to see Avengers Doomsday in December. So as for my rating, 4.5 stars. You're going to love this movie. Go out and see it the first time you can get it. Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know what you guys in the comment section. Let me know what you know about my review. Did you watch it? What did you think? Have you already seen it? Are you going to go see it? Let me know down in the comment section. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.